Welcome, everybody, to episode 18 of the Outcast Haven podcast. We're covering Fab tonight. With me, I got Jason and Blake. And I think tonight we're just going to hit on secondary market and the effect that Unlimited releasing is going to have on that, as well as how we feel about the competitive scene right now and other games we're playing that are handling the COVID crisis really well and still allowing for there to be a lot of community-driven and officially driven competitive content. So cover that as well. First up, we've seen Unlimited released into the wild. So what are some of your thoughts on the effects that you've seen so far on prices in the market and where you think those are going to end up? Like, do you think we're going to hit the pre-alpha announcement prices soon? Do you think it's going to drop below that? Like, what are you guys kind of expecting?
Want me to kick it off, Blake?
Do it.
For it.
All right. So I think when we got into the game in July, we'll call it, is that fair? July of this year?
Yep.
June, late June, July.
It's June, yeah.
Command and Conquers were $25, $30 eBay, most places, and Lightning Strikes $25, $30 just for your non-foil. Today on Facebook, a guy had a card listed. He wanted 9 non-foil Lightning Strikes for 1 Cheyenne. So it confused me on the value of what he was valuating the non-foil Lightning Strike. So I asked him, and he's valuing an unlimited non-foil Lightning Strike at $50. And in my opinion, that's way too high. And I think we're setting a bar too high for a huge print run of cards when, and we'll touch on this later, when there's not a true competitive scene. So that's kind of where I would start. My first talking point would be let's look at WTRs, unlimited, majestic, generics. That's your value cards in all the boxes. I think those are $25, $30 cards where they should have been going back to June, July, when there was actual tournaments happening in Malaysia, Taiwan, New Zealand. Australians were holding, locals. There was actually players, because that's what drives the market, is players and good cards performing well in tournaments. Collector value is eventually going to it's not there unless the card is doing something in competition.
Yeah, I think the one of the big questions is going to be what kind of player base is it, right? Because I think most of the games that we've played in or games that we've experienced, for me personally, even though I like to build my decks, I like to have my decks put together, but I don't buy 2 play sets of the same card just so I can have it in 2 decks, because let's be completely honest, when am I ever going to simultaneously play both decks, right? Like I just turn in one deck, I have my Lightning Strikes that I play all the time. And if another deck I need them, I either put a proxy in so I can just play with it casually to test with, or I just turn the cards around and I'm like, the backwards cards are in Lightning Strike because everybody knows what it does. To me, like even needing 9 in Lightning Strikes makes no sense. You can't put 9 in one deck, so why own 9 in an unlimited run? Like, to me, that's part of it. Is if people hoard it, it's going to screw the pricing up because people are they're gonna appear harder to get than they are. And to me, like that's like the whole inflating the market thing. We've seen that before in other games too, where people will buy something out because it looks like it's going to be good in the next set. So they'll buy something out, prices spike, and then those same people who bought them out just turn around and sell them for twice what they bought them for. That's fine. I think at the beginning of it though, here's the issue that I have, is the same issue I have with the collectors thing and people hoarding like Crucible or starter decks, is that it's harmful to the game. It's not good for the game. People can say all they want, like card value is important, secondary market is important. That's true. But your average gamer, your average card player doesn't want to spend $150 on 3 cards for a deck. So what you do is one of 2 things. You drive away more casual players, which hurts local scenes and hurts the game at large. Or what ends up happening is you create this weird scenario where like the player base is kind of vanillaed down and dumbed down because people can't play the best cards because they're too expensive. Because if somebody doesn't want to spend $150 on Lightning Strikes, they play some other card, which makes the deck not as good, which means now you have a pay to win situation in a game. And that's not good for a game because people don't like pay to win games.
Yeah, I don't think that. Couple points. So I think that the $50 is just too much. And I think that if you see that type of thing, like if you want a Shyana, who I think is actually very rare and very worth a lot of money. So 9 Enlightened Strikes, you see that deal come up. I would probably guess that a non-foil Enlightened Strike when the market settles, because no matter like fear mongering aside, I feel like the market will settle at some point, just a matter of how long it takes. When they find out that the Enlightened Strikes are, the rainbow foil is, worth $30, you can get the non-foil for 15 to 20. Like, that's gonna get fleshed out. So if there's a dude willing to do $50 in Enlightened Strike, do it, because if he wants the non-foil and then $15 times 9, you're getting it for 135. Is that bad math?
No,
that's getting 135 buck Shyana. Like, do it. Take advantage of that, because I think that people they're getting blinded by the crazy things the market did when the alpha announcement, because that was a limited run. Like, with Unlimited coming out, like Unlimited, from my understanding and from everything they've said, like, it's literally an open run. Like, it's on-demand printing for that. So it's just
Right.
there's theoretically not going to be a shortage. You don't got to stress about getting your Enlightened Strikes. So I think when the marketplace gets flooded with hundreds of non-foil Enlightened Strikes, people are going to start dropping prices to move them, and it's going to level out. Just
there was
chill.
Like you said, pre-alpha, there was plenty of Enlightened Strikes. You could go on eBay anytime and buy an Enlightened Strike for $25, $30. You could do the same with Command and Conquer. They become staples, and this is where competitive scene is so important. They become staples in good decks. In Enlightened Strike, Command and Conquer almost became more of a staple than even Enlightened Strike did, because of how detrimental it was to that person. It wasn't like Enlightened Strike, you can just let it hit and take the damage. Command and Conquer had consequences, which made it, I think, in competitive play, a better card. I think that's why you see it a little bit more, because of the consequences of losing your arsenal. I know as a Wizard player, if I put something in Arsenal, I absolutely 100% do not want to lose that card, because I very rarely put one in there. So that card became better through competitive play. So now we have this market, like you said, with these crazy inflated numbers without the player base to support these values. People are insane. There is not a player base. There's only 22,000 boxes printed. How many players in the world do you think we have? On a good number, I would guess 10,000. And I think that's being very generous at 10,000 players.
What kind of
do you
players
think it's
are
more?
You talking about? Are you talking about like players?
Like people that from tabletop to competitive. People, like, if you look on Facebook right now, a lot of the people have never played the game that are investing in this game. I'm talking actual players of the game.
Yeah, but if you're talking availability, like that, I think the issue is this: say it's more than 10,000, the issue becomes still how many of those people, right, are chasing Enlightened Strike, because that's where the market is going to get settled, and that's where the market's going to be determined. Is if you have 10,000 players, you have a few hundred maybe competitive players. But that's the issue, is like, again, the idea that something like that is worth $50 is just asinine, because in Dragon Ball Super, which has similar rarities, like, you assume that the cards are similar rarity, but their print runs are oftentimes pseudo unlimited, right? They have plenty of product most of the time for most sets. Really good cards are $20 or $30 maybe. And you can run 4 as a play set. So $20 or $30 is basically the cap on what you're going to spend on something that would be considered a super rare, which, to be fair, in Dragon Ball sometimes only comes 1 per box, which is similar to what like some of the Majestics are going to come. So like, you can't tell me that a card in a game with a smaller player base is worth $50 when there should be more boxes per player than in Dragon Ball, where like people are chasing 4 ofs and not 3 ofs. And the competitive player base is higher, so the demand for the best cards is higher. The effort to get them takes just as much effort and just as much money. So it's like $20 or $30. That's it. Like, you can't tell me that there's something like legendary. Sure, I'll pay more, but a majestic should not be more than $20 or $30.
So
there's nothing. No way you can convince me of that.
Because a secret rare is like what, one in every
you get
case?
2 per case. 2 per case.
And what's a legendary? 1 per case, or one every couple cases?
No,
1 per 9 boxes.
Yeah, it's
per 9 boxes. So
it's real similar still.
Real similar, and generally and we're using DBS as a guide strictly on the fact that, one, there's highly competitive play going on online right now with the best players in the world. It's an established 3-year-old card game, and you have rarity types that are similar. So it's a very good guide to what we can use to give expected values. And an SCR, or secret rare, will start off when it's hot in the meta at 80 to 120.
No,
If-
when release weekend.
Yeah,
if it's like
release weekend, it'll be a couple hundred release weekend.
Yeah.
But wasn't Gogeta only like in set 10? Wasn't that only like 140? And then the Ape SCR was.
Sorry,
I sold one for about 180 on release weekend. After that, now they're about 100 to 120.
Okay. So they settle, and that's in legendaries in this game. When I got most of mine on eBay, they were $70-$80, and now they're ridiculous. But I mean, those cold foils, I think when you get class specific like they are, I think they should start to drop as they do with more sets coming out and more legendaries out there, because as we see with Dragon Ball, if you go 4 sets, we'll take out minus set 9, which is a rarity, but what, $50-$60 for your average SCR once it's 2-3 sets back.
Even some of the new stuff once, and I think to your point about competitive play, to keep in mind is that competitive play drives that, right? Because right now the best SCRs in the game, so the best effective legendaries in Dragon Ball are $200 to $300, even though they're older, versus some of the new stuff which isn't used in decks because they're not the hot decks, or they're not considered the best decks or the best cards, are $80 max. So like, the competitive scene drives so much, and I know that's like one of the topics we want to hit on, so we can transition to that if we want. And I think having a competitive scene drives so much of the health of a game, because it puts so many things in the forefront. It gives you an understanding of what the best cards are, what the best decks are, what what a healthy meta looks like. It also gives you, and this is something we talked about, is it gives you name recognition. I know people are like, it's about the game, and you're like, okay, I don't care. Every game that you've ever played, if you play it competitively and you keep up with like content, the big names in the game, and there's something to be said of that. Like, you don't want to be good at the game, you want to be better than Matt Rogers, right? That's like, he's the established alpha in our game. So like, if you went to a big tournament, right, you want to beat Matt Rogers. Like, put the bounty on his head, like take him down. He seems like a nice guy, so he probably wouldn't make it like miserable, but like, you want to beat the best, because beating the best makes you the best.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that, to caveat off that too, with name recognition comes general familiarity with like the people that are looking for content, right? Because it's like, if you're going out and you're seeing the best players put out content, the Session Blood guys are amazing players and they put out content, and I watch them religiously. And I think that like that gives, and I know that they're good players because stuff gets reported on, but if I could watch their gameplay, if there was stuff that was actively going on, like international exhibition tournaments or something like that was happening like monthly, and I got to play against them, how amped up I would be to practice and like play more games, and how that would drive me to want to, like, this card's really good actually in this deck after play testing, like, and get that going. And then when I play with that card in the tournament and report on it and tell people that it performed just like I thought it would, and it went really well. And then people go out and buy that card. Like there's just a cycle that takes place when there's an active competitive scene that drives forward content, which drives forward. I can't think of the word. What's the word?
Well, it drives the game.
Just
yeah.
It drives the game.
Yeah. I think to your point, Dane, I think another thing that comes out of that same thing, that it driving some name recognition, driving content, driving practice. Also, if you have people will say like, well, but not everyone's a competitive player. You're like, that's fantastic. But competitive play drives the secondary market in, number one, what the cards are actually valued at, but also it pushes people to go get cards, because once Unlimited is readily available to everyone, if you start hosting online tournaments, you can do the same thing that other games do, which is, in order to play a card in a digital format or in a webcam format, you have to own the card. So you have to send in a picture of your physical deck list to prove that you own the cards. So for me personally, I sold all my legendary stuff because, I'm sorry, but like, if someone's crazy enough to pay me $300 for a legendary just because it's alpha print, I'm a player. I'm not a collector. There's no collector in me at all. If someone said straight up that they would give me $100 and all of the cards that I own alpha print for my decks, and just trade me straight up unlimited prints for my alpha prints, done deal. Like $100 cash, flip it, let's go. Like, and that's an open offer. But because I'm not a collector, like I don't care about that. So, but if you told me like, hey, we're gonna have a webcam event a month after Unlimited drops, you have to own the cards. Well, now I need to either buy boxes, or somebody who opens boxes and sells singles, I have to buy cards from them because I need to get certain cards to finish out my decks that I sold because they were crazy amounts when they were alpha print.
Yeah.
So it drives boxes being opened of Unlimited because you need the cards physically to play the cards.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I love this game. Been doing the locals. We put up gameplay of me and Blake's amazing game from last night. There'll be more. I put that up on my channel. Put up the Outcast. We'll put up a Wizard versus Wizard game, which is just mind-boggling. But my biggest disappointment in this game right now is the lack of the tournament scene. It's great. New Zealand. It was built there. I mean, to say it nicely, they keep kissing their ass. It's like, come on, the rest of the world wants to play. We want to play. We want to play against them. We want to play Australians. We want to play the Taiwan, Malaysia. I mean, those nationals were just kind of like, like there's no coverage, no big thing like there was for New Zealand. And I'm not being a, snobby American. And we want to play the game. We want to play against people. You
Give
have
it
to
everybody.
do something. Yeah, you have to do something.
I don't think that's an American thing. I think that you've probably got, you for sure have people in Europe saying the same type of thing. Like, it's not.
Well, I think keeping in mind again, and we harp on it because we have a relationship to it and understanding of the game, right? Dragon Ball is doing it. They're putting on tournaments in America, but they also have Oceania tournaments. They also have European tournaments, and it's all Bandai sanctioned and regulated. And they have professional tournament organizers. They're not randomly giving the community promos. I'm paying Pro Play Games, a professional TO who organizes and does events and traveling events, hosts huge events in the States. Bandai is working with them in order to host these events. So they're professionally run. It's not like, hey, here's a play at home kit, go mail stuff to your buddies or play it locally or do whatever. And I know Jason and I talked about that and have a little salt about the whole, like, well, anybody can play anywhere. And you're like, that's great and grand. But again, now I have no idea who's actually good, because we can just make a thing every other night and say we played and put in our records and be like, Jason's the best player in America, because
it could be us three.
Yeah.
It could be us three, and we could grind games every night, 5 games, 5 rounds, and have a ton of XP. Just a ton. It means 0 until we play. The only person that deserves it is Kale, who had 1,000 because he earned a lot of those in actual real tournament play that wasn't play anywhere. So he earned that 1,000 XP. But for Americans that have XP, what the hell does it matter?
Yeah. 90% of the country or more isn't playing in person.
Right. Or even playing at a high competitive level.
Yeah. Barely playing locals if they're playing.
Right.
Them.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'm moving to Texas.
It's frustrating.
We're gonna go play in
You know
Gift
what?
of Chaos's scene.
You know what? But you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Just give me an opportunity to like pay somebody or make me pay somebody to host somebody. I paid $20 last weekend to play in a webcam event for Dragon Ball Super, and it was awesome. It was well run. It was all done through Discord. I sat at this exact desk right here. I just pointed my camera down and I played 6 rounds, and it was a great experience. And as a result, like now there's an opportunity this week to have all of the players who did well are now on all the content creator channels. They're doing interviews and talking about the decks they played, their experiences. And now we understand like what's the meta, what's going on, who are the best players. Now people have name recognition. It happens. Like that's good for the game. It's healthy for the game.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and shout it out, but Blake was one of those winners that got
Blake got
content
top
creation
6
time. He was top 6, so his deck profile is up on a couple different content creators' websites.
Yeah.
But no, to that point, I just had to throw that out there because I knew you weren't going to humble brag. But
I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to say my name. I appreciate it.
But yeah, like that existing also drives just motivation to play. Like I just, I signed up for this weekend's tournament, next weekend's tournament, and that makes me want to play, makes me want to continue to watch content, makes me want to stay involved with the game. I'll be honest, like Fab is falling behind for me right now in my personal life for like where I want to put my time because I am actively playing and competing in DBS. And right now it's like, well, we got weeklies that I can't make it to most of the time. And I haven't made it to in like over a month because of my work schedule. But I there's just not a whole lot there for me in Fab right now. And I love the game. It's super, like mechanically, it's amazing. Aesthetically, it's all I could ask for. There's just nothing driving me because I am more of a competitive player, and I can admit that. But I just
and I think another thing that people miss about it, right, is I played online. So when they did it, they went through the trouble. PPG did a really good job. The company that ran it TO'd it, and they were streaming games. So at one point I was 4-0 or 5-0, and I was playing on a top table, and I got a message from a guy at 4-0, and he was like, "Hey, like you're 4-0, we're pumped for you, like dude, like you're crushing it." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And then I realized, they keep up on those things like on the Facebook pages, and people are reading the stats and stuff. So I was like, "Oh, that's super cool." So then he's like, "Hey man, good luck, like you're crushing it, keep going, like make Minnesota proud." And I was like, "Thanks man, I appreciate it, the community at large." And then I messaged him after I got to 5-0, I was super pumped. So I was like, "Hey man, I got to 5-0. I'm so excited. Like I'm playing, like top 2 tables, whatever." And he goes, "Yeah, I know. We watched it." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "You were on stream. We pulled it up because there's a local on Saturdays at the same time. They put it on the TV at the local." And I got like 6 messages afterwards from all different guys in the community saying, "Hey man, we're so like, you did so good. Like you represented so well." And now, I'm getting a chance to talk to content creators, and they post their videos, and all of these local guys are saying like, "Hey, way to go. That's our boy, that's Minnesota." And people miss the fact that when you do well, like your community gets behind you, and that's exciting. Like that's a cool thing. It felt cool for me more so that the Minnesota scene is now being recognized for their Dragon Ball Super prowess, right? Like everybody gets recognition because of it. And I know like if there was a Fab tournament, I would want to know like how's Dane doing, how's Jason doing, how's Mark doing, how's Chris doing, how's like I want to know how the locals are doing because those are my guys. Like we play together, we grind games together,
and I want to know how we stack up. Like Mark like does really well at the local scene, but I've no idea how he stacks up. And playing outside of that, we just kind of play with each other. And I hate to admit it, but it is just kind of not demoralizing, but it's like I wish there was something there that was spurring me on and driving me. Still fun game.
I want one last.
Yeah. Pick us up, Jason. Give us something.
I know. I want to make my one last part. No, I'm just gonna make my one last point of. So this has been my main game for a while that I've enjoyed playing, but I will go get destroyed in a Force of Will online tournament here next month, as I've been playing that with my son and really enjoying it, which is a dead game, but they've managed to hold online tournaments with a dead game. I'm going to do the same thing with Universus, which is a dead game because nobody plays it, yet they're holding an online tournament.
Okay.
In a brand new...
You got to be careful how you use dead game because Universus is not a dead game.
If you
It's
look
a
at content
actively
creators
produced, yeah.
in the views, they're getting nothing.
Okay.
I
The game
watch.
itself is not dead though. Just to clarify.
It's-
No, the games. I'm just
Yeah.
saying there's not much going
give
on.
Give them a couple months when they release
when they release
MHA.
MHA.
Right.
Yeah.
When MHA comes
No,
out. But right now, there's just no activity around it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of activity.
Yeah, if you look at the YouTube views on things, they're just not getting it. It gets less than 100 on new stuff. But
So Force
they're
of
going to
Will,
have a tournament.
Is Force of Will actually a dead game?
No, because they have a new release coming out next week.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I thought you were saying.
But
that
it's everybody thought it was dead because it switched ownership.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So once again, it lost a player base. So it doesn't have the player. It doesn't have a growing player base with a very insane secondary market that is the talk of all these huge content creators that don't normally talk about Flesh and Blood, yet we have nothing from them. That's very disappointing. Digimon's coming out. I'm buying starters because they are going to do an online tournament in December. Exactly to your point, Dane. I want to play competitively. I want to get my face smashed in the first couple times I play, cry about it, get better, and then win. Just like we do with other card games. That's what we want.
Yep. And I think that
I said my piece.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't the pick me up that I was kind of
no.
I know it was gonna be.
I had to go with the strong finish, man. The strong finish.
Oh. Yeah, I think that though, to sort of bring it back full circle, like the reason that we're saying all this stuff is because like the game is awesome, the company's awesome. Like we want reasons to not lose motivation in the game, and I think for me personally, like finding out that all we're really getting between now and March is unlimited, which is just reprints of cards that I already have. That and like no tournaments in sight or anything like that. It's hard, man. Like it's really, really hard. So I think we're gonna try to find some fun stuff to do, like just to like keep interest there, like because we're gonna have to do it for ourselves. And I'm not letting go of this game because the game's amazing. But I think just for the sake of staying invested, like we're gonna come up with something.
I think the thing is, right, like I think every game has, if a card game sucks you in and makes you want to play it, it does three things. You enjoy the gameplay. That's the key. Like that's number one. Number two, like opening packs. Everybody who has ever played a card game, who has ever done it and really keeps going, loves to open packs. That's the thing, right? A new set brings new packs to open new stuff to get new shiny. And then the third thing is like competition. And I think right now our biggest concern is that what this game is offering us right now is no competitive play and no opening new packs. Like it's missing two of the three things. But the game is so mechanically good and the game is so fun to play and it's such a good game that offers you a different experience every time because the interactions are so unique into other decks and the gameplay is so unique from hero to hero that it offers you an opportunity to play a game that doesn't get old. So you don't need a crazy amount of sets, but I want to play new people. It's fun to play new players. It's fun to play like some of the most fun thing, right, is the fact that we've linked up with our Aussie buddies who we get to play games with. I literally played games with Harry this afternoon, just a couple games we had a chance to play. It's fun and it's good. And it's also like those guys have played longer. So for us personally, it's a measuring stick. Like, are they just pummeling us relentlessly or can we hang with these guys? Are we good? And, it's like that validation that the time you put in is worth it because that's the biggest thing, right? Is my success in Dragon Ball this last weekend. I'm not like excited, like to Dane's point, to my point, I'm not going to brag about it. Every time somebody asked me like, who do you want to shout out? It was the guys that I play with in the community that I play a part of, because everybody that I play with helps me be a better player. And they just let me keep playing and learning. But like playing the game, I want to validate the fact that my time and energy is worth playing the game. And you do that through competitive play, right?
We do that at least. And I feel like a lot of players do that.
Yeah.
Like it applies to a large enough portion of their market that they should take stock in that and say,
Yeah.
No,
let's make sure that this is
TCG,
happening. Yeah.
to survive, you have to have good competitive play. And if somebody knows of a TCG, a collectible card game
You
that
posed
is
this
out there
question last time. Yeah.
Yeah.
that has no competitive scene, please bring it up, because I would love to hear it. Because right now there's not a big competitive scene.
Mm-hmm. It'll get fixed. I have the utmost confidence that there's no way that they let this continue and not have something get established or
Right.
announced.
I hope
like,
so.
There's no way, right? Like, they've put so much thought and
Yeah.
care into this game that
I mean,
for them to put all this effort into a game and then just drop the ball entirely on getting competitive players a place to play competitively, like, that would shock me and make me sad.
I
So,
hope
I don't think
Unlimited
it's gonna
solves
happen.
it. I hope Unlimited solves it. I would host a webcam tournament if I was a tournament organizer and knew how to do it and run it smoothly, but I would never want to tarnish the name of a good game because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So that's my honest, but there's plenty of people that have, and I would support them. I will help them. I will give them my time. I will give them my money to play. So if there is people that want to start it, I'm aboard.
Well, was there anything else that we wanted to hit on? I feel like we're leaving it on like a negative note. I don't want to.
I mean,
But-
it's unfortunate. It's kind of
Yeah.
unfortunate because it does feel like a little bit of a downer, recently. Like it does. There's a lot to feel kind of like if you feel a little bit in limbo right now, which is unfortunate. I think at the end of the day, that's the biggest concern with the game is that it feels like we're kind of in this weird state of limbo. But also,
I do have a positive when you're done.
what's the well, I was just going to say, I think a positive is the fact that whether people want to believe it or not, right? The perspective and the outcry for access to cards, access to competitive play, access to all this stuff, the fact that people are saying it and sticking around is a positive because they care enough about the game, even though it's barely been around, that they're just like, please give us something so we can keep playing. We want to play it so bad. Like, please.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good thing. If it wasn't a good game and that wasn't a positive thing, then you wouldn't hear it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't hear an outcry for it. It would just disappear.
Mhm.
People would stop buying it and it would die. And it would die a slow, painful death because people didn't care. But people care about the game because the game is incredible aesthetically. The mechanics are phenomenal. The community that has, developed around the player base, everyone that we've interacted with has been awesome. And it's if they fix that problem, then the game will continue to grow and explode. And all these people who are paying absurd money for sealed boxes that probably have mostly cardboard you could just throw away because that's how much it's worth. The people who are paying that money, they're going to get their money back on it. But that's the thing is, like, we care about this game, and that's why we're not trying to be negative Nancy's about it.
We're
like
passionate.
We care about it. I'm passionate. I want this game to go, right? Like, I want to see this game succeed, and I want to play competitive play like I do in Dragon Ball. I want to see content creators who are blowing up and have huge streams, not so that we can have a huge stream, but so that the community can grow, because that's what we care about. That's why we don't paywall anything. That's why we'll never paywall anything.
There's no Patreon.
Our whole goal is to see the community. Yeah. Like, I just want to see the community grow. I'll do everything I can to help it. I give my time free and clear because I want the community to grow.
I mean, if we didn't care, I wouldn't be saying this stuff about the competitive scene, but I really want to see it. But I do. This is my very positive note. And I was trying to find out who posted it. So Radio Reflex, it was either Ian or Alan. So Radio Reflex posted the final game with Jason Chung, one of the creators, and maybe Jason Long. Were they both Jasons?
I know what you're talking about.
Right here. Here's
Yep.
Yeah.
Those two. It was Wizard versus Guardian, I believe, and he stood there with his phone and Facebook Live the final match. I watched the whole thing as soon as I saw it pop up. I watched it. It was amazing. There was one time Wizard had 8 cards in hand. It was an anomaly I've never seen before, and he won. And it was super pumped to see that. I'm like, one, thank you very much for doing that, because
that's amazing.
That can't be easy. Just sitting here like this with your phone, recording it the whole match. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Well, and I think even beyond that, like, and maybe that's the way that, right, we like bring some positivity to the end of every podcast, is we can shout out a person or two in the community that are doing right things. one guy for me personally that I love seeing his name is Adam Johnson. He always posts every few weeks or once a month or something. He'll post like, hey, new players, let me know what class you want to play and I'll send you something. And all he's asking people to do is pay shipping, which, as somebody who mails stuff all the time because I buy and sell cards like crazy, it's not the hardest thing in the world to do, but it's also not like going to the post office to mail packages and do all that stuff. It's not the most fun task in the world to do, but he's going out of his way to try and engage the player base and get new players things in their hands so they can play the game. And I just think it's cool. The community so far in this game has been great. People really have been, great about helping each other out, answering questions. Obviously, when you have a new game, there's tons of questions to answer, and people have just been awesome. And, I just want to see the game grow because the community is good. The game is great. The company that's doing it has made a grand effort to try their hardest to make a great game and engage the community. It's like all of those things should be rewarded with a long life in a game. And I just want that to happen.
Yep. Well said. Thank you for bringing that positivity to
Jason started it.
Yeah.
And it was definitely Jason Chung, and I think it was Jacob Pearson was the other one, I believe, for the match I saw.
All right, I will not edit.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Just leave that correction caveat at the end. So
yeah,
thank you guys. That's all we really had to talk about today. Hopefully we get some cool, fun announcements in the next couple weeks. So not next week, but the following week when we do our Fab podcast again, we'll have some exciting news. And if not, we'll just make stuff up, talk about our local scene, talk a little bit about lore, whatever we got to do to keep stuff going. Because I love the game. I want to keep talking about it. It would be really exciting if they gave us some really exciting stuff to be really excited about. So that's all I want.
That's all I want.
But thanks for joining me, Blake, Jason. Guys, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want those notifications for when we go live on Tuesdays or when we upload gameplay videos, would really appreciate the support because it literally means nothing, like mechanically, to how we do this stuff, but it just feels good. It makes us want to keep doing it and like push. Like Jason's like, dude, we got for our last, what was it? Our gameplay videos go up and we get like 2 or 3 subscribers. But when we put out like deck profiles, we get like 15 subscribers after that. And it's like that really doesn't mean a single thing other than maybe we do more deck profiles. So
yeah,
makes us feel good. We appreciate the support. Hope everyone is having fun with the game still, and be sure to leave comments if you guys are interested in seeing particular things in our upcoming videos, and look forward to talking to you next time. Peace.
See ya.
See ya.